Yes, bhai, yes.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala ma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum, my dear brothers. Today we'll have a quick discussion on Ikhlaas. Of course, the topic is not very new. Everybody knows about this, and we have spoken, Lord has spoken about it. Let's have some reminders regarding this subject. I want this to be a little participative, so kindly participate, inshallah. Let's make this a discussion. So to understand the importance of Ikhlaas, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. The first question is, which surah is considered one-third of the Quran? Yes, please.
Surah Ikhlaas.
Surah Ikhlaas. Okay, simple. What is the first hadith in Sahih Bukhari?
إنما الأعمال بالنية.
Innamal a'malu binniyah. And it speaks about which subject?
Ikhlaas.
Ikhlaas. Okay, so this is something that we all know about. And without a doubt, there is a consensus among all the scholars that Sahih Bukhari is the most authentic of all the books of hadith. And Imam Bukhari, rahmahullah, he started the first hadith stressing upon Ikhlaas. So a surah which is called a Surah Ikhlaas is one-third of the Quran. And the first hadith in Sahih Bukhari is about Surah Ikhlaas. And that kind of highlights the significance of Ikhlaas. We all know this. Okay, so this is just a reminder. Now, he waits for you in the straight path. Who do you think is waiting?
Shaitan.
Absolutely. So, if you look at Surah Araf, Surah number 7, ayat number 16, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, قَالَ فِمَا أَغْوَيْتَنِي لَأَقْعُدَنَّ لَهُمْ صِرَاطَكَ الْمُسْتَقِيمَ. Then Iblis, he said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because you have put me in the wrong, I will lie in wait for them. I'll be sitting. Basically, if you literally translate, the shaitan says, Iblis says that I will definitely wait for them in your straight path. And if you remember in the Surah Fatiha, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim, guide us to the straight path, siratal mustaqim. And Iblis says the exact same wordings. Siratakal mustaqim. He said, I'll sit in your straight path. Siratakal mustaqim. So you want to travel in that path, that is exactly where he is sitting. So we are not talking about the people who have already gone astray. We're talking about people who have taken the straight path. That is where he is sitting. So you have to be very, very careful, because Shaitan is just waiting for us who are actually traveling on the straight path. So keep this in mind. So who are going to be saved? So this is what Shaitan said, right? But then there are a few people who get saved. This is where you have to really, really focus, because the translations may not really emphasize the point I'm trying to convey. So please focus. So look at this. This is in Surah Hijr, Surah number 15, ayat number 39 and 40. Where Iblis told Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Qala Rabbi bima aghwaytani la uzayyinanna lahum fil arli wa la ughwiyannahum ajma'in. So he said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because you have put me in the wrong, I will lure mankind on earth and put them all in the wrong. Okay, so this is something very similar to what we saw in Araf, but there is one extra thing that he adds, Iblis himself adds. He says in ayat number 40, Illa ibadaka minhumul mukhlasin. All except your slaves who are mukhlasin. I don't want you to look at the translation. I want you to just focus on the Arabic word. Okay, the Iblis himself says to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I will attract everybody. I will lure everybody, all the whole people on earth, and I will misguide them, except your slaves who are mukhlasin. And mukhlasin are the people who have ikhlas. Right, in translations, I don't know how they have translated. Some might have translated as chosen, right? Something like that. Yeah, guided, chosen. There might be different translations, but in Arabic, it actually says mukhlasin. Mukhlasin are the people who are ikhlas. So all that I want you to understand now is the servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who have ikhlas, they are saved. Shaitan, Iblis himself says this, that I can't do anything with them. Now, this is the significance and importance of Ikhlaas. Please remember this. Don't forget it. Okay. So the question is, what does Ikhlaas mean? Okay, so what do you think Ikhlaas means? Brothers?
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum salam, rahmatullah. What does Ikhlaas mean?
Ikhlaas means you do
Only doing for sake of
all
Allah
the,
subhanahu wa ta'ala.
yeah,
You do only for sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay,
others do, yeah.
okay, fine. Okay,
Purity in intentions.
purity in intentions. Okay, so why do we call the surah Qul Huwallahu Ahad surah as Surah Ikhlaas? Where does it talk about purity in intention in this surah? It is called Surah Ikhlaas, correct? But why do we call that? Where does it talk about Surah Ikhlaas? It talks about Tawheed.
It describes the characteristics of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Okay, so where does Ikhlaas come there?
Yeah, Ikhlas means towards the oneness. For example, you're focusing on one.
Yes?
As-Samad.
Okay, Bilal Bhai is saying As-Samad. Okay, what about As-Samad, Bilal?
Yeah. The As-Samad basically, is the attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is like all his creation depends upon him, but it does not depend upon anything.
Okay, but where is that? What has that got to do with Ikhlaas?
It's like definition of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So
So this is all correct. I'm saying, now where does it link to Ikhlaas? You said sincerity, purity of intentions, doing things only for sake of Allah. But where is that being spoken about in Surah Ikhlaas? Qul Huwallahu Ahad, right? It speaks about attributes. But the definition that we have, the Surah doesn't speak about it. I mean, in the general sense. At least that's how we have understood it. It actually speaks about it, right? That is why it is called Surah Ikhlaas. Okay, anyways, in the want of time, I will quickly tell you, Bilal Bhai is actually right, but he gave a different definition or the meaning of the word. Okay. Okay, there is this word called As-Samad, Allahu Samad, which is the second ayah in Surah Ikhlaas. And please remember, this word As-Samad, it appears only once in the Quran. The entire Quran, it appears only once. And it appears in this surah only in Surah Ikhlaas. Now, this is something very, very significant. You know why? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose to mention his name, his attribute as Samad, only once in a surah that is considered 1/3 of the Quran. I want you to think about it. This is not a very simple thing. It's such a huge and significant thing because Allah chose this in the surah which is considered 1/3 of the Quran. So what does meaning of Samad mean? There are several meanings. What Bilal Bhai told is one of the meanings. The meaning that we are interested in, and which is a very, very primary meaning, is one who is the ultimate goal, one who is the ultimate objective of anything. Right? Who is the ultimate? Whatever I do, what is the ultimate goal? It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah says Allah is as-Samad, which means Allah is the one who should be the ultimate goal. Allah is the one who should be the ultimate objective of anything. I want to please somebody. The ultimate one whom I should try to please is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because he is as-Samad. If I want to expect reward or appreciation or praise from someone, the one who deserves to be sought after is as-Samad. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is the one who's the ultimate one who should reward me, who should praise me, who should appreciate me. If you think about it, in our life, what all we aim, what all we make our goal, what all we make our objective, who is the ultimate objective, or who should be the ultimate objective? It should be Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because why? Because he is as-Samad. This is very, very important. And this is very important. Why? Because even in the Makkan, the kafir or the murshidi, they actually believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is the name of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's father? What is the name?
Abdullah.
Abdullah. What does it mean? Abdullah. What does it mean?
Slave of Allah.
Slave of Allah. But he was not a Muslim. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's father was not a Muslim. But look at the name. Name is Abdullah. So even before the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born, they knew about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the problem is they had a huge problem with As-Samad. So Kullu Wallahu Ahad, they had no problem. Right? They knew that Allah is only one, but then they had several other idols, entities, and all that, right? Lat, Manat, Uzza, and all that, apart from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the whole problem. The problem is they did not understand the meaning of As-Samad, right? Where it is only Allah who should be the ultimate objective or ultimate goal. Even in worship, who should be the ultimate goal, whom we should try to please, who should be the objective of all our worship? It is As-Samad, who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is very, very important, right? So keep this in mind. But then there are other meanings of Ikhlaas. So the meaning of the word Ikhlaas, the Surah Ikhlaas, comes from the word As-Samad, because everything is dedicated only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If it goes to something else or to someone else, then it's gone. Okay, so it's actually linked to Tawheed. So this is what I want you to understand, right? The Ikhlaas is linked to Tawheed. Don't forget this. Okay, what are the other meanings of Ikhlaas? There are several meanings of Ikhlaas, and I want to just highlight two more. One is this, where you dedicate everything to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is one straightforward meaning, which you already told me, like sincerity, doing only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's one meaning. And another meaning is,
one meaning I said is focusing on oneness of Allah. That is what your intention, everything focused to be Allah.
Yes, that is As-Samad, right? That's correct. Another meaning is loyalty, right? Where you're loyal to someone, and faithfulness. Now, most people think these two are same. No, they're actually different. Loyalty is different, faithfulness is different. So I'm not going to sit and explain the difference, because these are English terms which you can go and read in dictionary, and you can understand what exactly is the difference. Okay, so Ikhlaas also means being loyal and being faithful. Keep this in mind. This is very important. And by the way, these are all the definitions of the word Ikhlaas itself, and the Arabs, they understand it like that. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, we don't, or rather we are not trained to focus on the deeper meanings of the Arabic language. Arabic is a very, very, very rich language. So one word will not have one meaning. It has got several meanings. And considering that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who is speaking in the Quran, we have to really go back and see what are the different dimensions of a particular word used by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is very important. So Ikhlaas means loyalty and also faithfulness. Now I have a question to you. Do you expect your wife to be faithful? I believe that everybody here is married. So I think this question should be valid. Do you expect your wife to be faithful? Will you accept if your wife is unfaithful? I want an answer. Do you expect, first question, do you expect your wife to be faithful to you? You understand what I mean by faithful, right? Or do you want me to explain what it is?
Yes.
Everybody understand. Okay, great. First question, do you expect your wife to be faithful? It's a no-brainer.
Yes.
Yes. Will you accept if your wife is unfaithful?
No.
No.
Everybody accepts, right? They will not accept, right? The answer is no. The answer for the first question is yes, and the answer for the second question is no. Okay. Why? Why will you not accept? Why will you not accept? In all the other aspects, she's excellent. She cooks well. She's very loving. She's very caring. So you need not even tell her. She does everything. But only when it comes to this faithfulness, there is a problem. No,
because
man.
that is the most important point. If you see, that is the most important thing. The relationship depends on faithfulness.
Trust.
It can tie or break the relation if it's not faithful. Other things are secondary, but the most important priority is faithfulness to the partner.
Okay. So you need that. We all know that we are getting into a marriage in form of a contract. Correct? Did we create our wives? No. So they are actually equal, right? So it's just a contract. If they want, they can always break the contract, and they can go and marry someone. Same is the case with you. But even within a contract, we expect faithfulness. Correct? We expect loyalty, and we cannot accept that. But look at our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not a contract. He created us. We are his slaves. We are his servants. So imagine, how can you even think about being unfaithful to him? So this is the point. The sincerity, there are different dimensions. And one of the dimensions is being faithful and being loyal. If we cannot accept our wife being unfaithful to us, how can we even think about being unfaithful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So imagine how bad it is. Right? I want you to keep this in mind. With that, I want to tell you about one story that happened in the history, very profound story. I don't know how many of you know about this. This is a story called a story of the person of the whole, which I have translated it. In Arabic, it's called a Sahib al-Naqab. Okay, very, very famous. And it's a very famous thing in the Arab world. Now, in fact, there are a lot of khutbahs about it. Sheikh Salih al-Munajid himself has spoken about it in one of his khutbah in the Mimbar. Okay, so let me quickly tell you the story. This happened in a battle against the Roman Empire in the 8th century. Okay, so there was a battle against the Roman Empire between the Muslims and the Roman Empire, and it happened in the 8th century. The Muslim army was led by Maslama bin Abdul Malik, who is the son of Abdul Malik al-Marwan. And Maslama is one of the celebrated generals, right? And he's also a prince. So he is leading the army. So now they have sieged the Roman fort, and Muslims are not able to make a breakthrough. So they are, the fort is completely sieged, but they're not able to get in, and they're not able to gain victory. So it's a stalemate, right? And because the fort is well protected, they're attacking from the top, the Romans, and they're not able to make progress. So what happens is, one person from the army at night, when nobody sees, he actually digs a tunnel. You know what is a tunnel, right? A hole from underground, right? He goes inside the fort to the tunnel. He goes inside and he breaks open the door to facilitate an entry for the entire army to go in, right? So after this, the army, because of the tunnel, the army goes into the tunnel or the hole. They make entry into the fort, and now they are into the fort. Then the fighting becomes easy, right? And the Muslim army actually wins over that battle. Now the person who leads the army, Maslama, he comes and sees, right? Because one person has done it, and the count has not reduced. Nobody's dead. Everybody is alive, which means one person from the army has actually gone and he has done it. Now Maslama is asking, who did it? And nobody is coming out. Nobody says that I did it. There's a silence. For 3 days, Maslama keeps asking. Every day is asking, who did this? Who actually dug this tunnel? Because this is not an easy thing, right? And nobody is giving an answer. Then finally he says, I asked by Allah, right? By the authority that Allah gave me as a leader, as the Amir of this army. I asked by that authority, the person who went and dug this tunnel, you should come and meet. Then what happens is, in the night, one person, he walks to the place where Maslama is staying, and he has covered his face. And he says that, and he meets Maslama, and he tells him that I will tell you about this person of the hole, right, who dug this hole under 3 conditions. What 3 conditions? What are the 3 conditions? Number 1, you should not ask his name. Number 2, you should not ask to see his face. And number 3, you should not give him any reward. Okay, these are the 3 conditions. If you accept these 3 conditions, then I will tell you who he is. So Maslama says, okay, he says, I will accept it. Then the person says, it is me, and then he vanishes. That's it. Then immediately he disappears, right? Because of the 3 conditions, because Maslama has accepted to the 3 conditions, so he's now, he's not able to go and find out who it is, ask his name, or give any reward, because that is what he has agreed to. Okay. Then we read from the historians that Maslama ibn Abdul Malik, he always did this dua, Allahumma mahshurni ma'a sahibun naqab. Oh Allah, gather me on the day of judgment with the person of the hole. Okay. So, this is a story. I mean, I've just, given you the gist of it. So if you actually look at it, there are several learnings from the story. So one is, he wanted to please only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He did not want anyone to know. This is very straightforward. Number 2, he did not expect any rewards from people, right? Obviously, he expected rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so he went anonymous. So these are something that is very straightforward. But apart from it, I want you to think about the different dimensions of Ikhlaas. This is the point here. The first 2 is straightforward. Everybody understands. But I'm going to give you another 3 things that you need to keep in mind. One is, his Ikhlaas made him proactive because he was so loyal, he was so faithful, and he wanted to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He did not wait for command. Nobody came and told him. right? You can go dig a tunnel. He was proactive. He immediately got into action. So think about it. Look at us. We wait for instructions. Even after instructions, we may do, we may not do. That's a different matter. That is where we are. Are we proactive in anything? Do we come forward to do anything for the deen? Think about it. And this is also a dimension of Ikhlaas. That's my whole point here. Ikhlaas is not only sincerity. Whenever I do, I will do sincerely. That is great. But that is just only one small aspect of Ikhlaas. So if you look at this story, this man, this person, he was very proactive. This is number one. And number two, look at the commitment. It is literally a suicidal mission. When he digs the hole and he goes inside to break open the door, he might have got killed. But he didn't care. He was even willing to sacrifice his own life. So this is loyalty and faithfulness. No matter what. You stay no matter what. Don't give any excuses or no getting scared, no saying that might happen, this might happen. Whatever happens, that is faithfulness. That is loyalty. Right? So this is very important. And you could see that in his life, where he was not worried about anything. And look at this. Although we do not know the name, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he entered his acting history. Even today, after what, an 8th century, now we are what, in 21st century, right? Even after 15, how many centuries now? Let's say 13 centuries, right? The 1300 years later, Alhamdulillah, we are still speaking about it. And there are khutbahs being given in the Arabic world, right? So it is so powerful. So this is the power of Ikhlaas, right? So don't forget this. Then this is my last slide for today. I'm going to end with this. So what do we need to do to cultivate Ikhlaas? Obviously, we have to do dua for Ikhlaas. So Ikhlaas is something that we will not get automatically, right? You have to do dua for it. You have to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant you Ikhlaas. Number two, this is very important. Cultivate the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you look at the wife example, right? A wife or a husband cannot be faithful for the sake of being faithful. Right? Imagine, if you have to be faithful for the sake of being faithful, I mean, that's very difficult, right? Oh, what do I do? I got married to this lady. Oh, I got married to this guy. I have to be faithful, right? You can be faithful like that, but I mean, that's not how we want to live. But if the husband genuinely loves the wife, and if the wife genuinely loves the husband, will they be faithful or not? Yes or no? It is natural, right? It is natural for them to be faithful. So same thing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? If you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, genuinely love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it goes without saying that you will have Ikhlaas. So this is a huge topic. This is a huge topic, right? And this love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if we have in our lives, our life will change. We all say we love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but we have to ask ourselves, do we really love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Because if we love something, we will not wait for someone to come and tell us to do this. Right? You see your child or your wife, you want to do something, you really genuinely love them, you will be proactive. You will always be proactive. You will see what they want. If they feel sick, you will go and, even if they don't tell you, you will go and ask them, should I take you to a doctor? Do you want medicine? Do you want to take rest? Do you want that? Do you want this? This is a manifestation of love. If we love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how do you think we will work for the deen? I want you to think about it, right? So this is a different, very big topic. Inshallah, sometime in future, we will discuss this in detail, but I want you to think about it. So if you have the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then being sincere and having Ikhlaas is very easy. And the last point, think more about your sins. The biggest problem with lack of sincerity or lack of Ikhlaas is when we focus on our good deeds. So I want to end with the quote of Imam Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah. It's a very profound quote. Look what he says. So he says, when Allah intends good for a person, he makes him not to see his good deeds and mentioning the good deeds with his tongue. So when Allah intends good for a person, the person will not see the good deeds that he does, or he will not mention about the good deeds, what he does. Rather, what will Allah make him do? He makes the person preoccupied in seeing his sins. And the person keeps seeing his sins until he enters Jannah. Look at this, it's a very profound statement. If Allah makes a person preoccupied in seeing his sins, what will happen? Constantly he will be on worry. Constantly he will do istighfar. Constantly he will try to keep doing good deeds, because he will say, oh, I have done so many sins. I have not done anything for the deen. I have not done anything for myself. I have not done enough to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what you will do, you'll keep on trying. You'll keep on trying to do good deeds, and he'll keep on making istighfar. Allah will keep him in this state until he enters Jannah. A person who is focused on this, imagine how his life will be. He's only thinking about the sins that he committed. his life will not be like anybody else's life, right? The approach to life itself will be different. And finally, he said this, very, very profound. No doubt, whatever deeds are accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are raised, and the heart does not see it, and the tongue does not mention it. SubhanAllah. And this we will experience in our life also, right? Sometimes you might have done something, you would have completely forgotten. Several years later, somebody will come and tell you, "Bhai, you remember you did that? Bhai, you remember you only told me this." That's when you will remember, correct, right? Okay. Sometimes you will be surprised. Oh my God, I did all this. SubhanAllah, I forgot. Right? This is a sign, according to Imam Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah, this is a sign that Allah accepted it. Why? Because you don't even remember doing it, and you have never mentioned it to anybody that you have done this, right? So this is something which is very, very important. Okay, so please keep this in mind. This is very important. So don't think about your good deeds, think more about your sins. Right? And with this, I would like to end. Any questions?